Well, the opposition parties will meet this week to craft a pre-election pact ahead of the 2024 general elections. The parties are seeking to gain a majority to unseat the governing ANC. So let's bring political analyst Dr Levy Ndou perhaps to weigh in on this initiative by the opposition parties. Dr Levy Ndou, good afternoon, and thank you for your time with us here on the SABC.
Good afternoon to you, Lizelle. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
We're trying to make sense of the possibilities that lie ahead, even the probabilities at this point when we speak about coalitions and South Africa's national elections come 2024. Perhaps you could give us context to what this pact can achieve in next year's polls as a possible scenario unfolding.
Well, this should not be seen as a surprise, but it should be seen as a strategy by different opposition parties who have actually acknowledged that as political parties individually, they cannot be able to unseat the ANC. And the best strategy for them is to say, let's organize ourselves together so that they are able to fight against the ANC. But at the same time, this arrangement, it's coming at a time when the Democratic Alliance did not perform as expected during the 2019 elections, and they also did not perform very well in the 2021 local government elections. And that might have sent a signal to the DA that instead of them wanting to fight against the ANC on their own, the best strategy will be for them to bring other parties together. Of course, it might work if indeed they'll have to convince all political parties or the majority of political parties in South Africa and only isolate the ANC. If they cannot be able to convince all political parties, then the possibility is that they might not make it to unseat the ANC.
Because on the back of that, the fragmentation amongst the opposition perhaps is also a factor to consider, given the dynamics that we've seen unfolding, perhaps as we age closer, and one is to question whether that's going to actually dent the ANC as well. And so then I also want to look at the voters themselves and the hunger from voters, given the current political climate, and whether there's enough of a chance to give the opposition a chance perhaps to govern. Also, in terms of low voter turnout, which we saw pre-COVID levels and beyond, how is that also a factor as we edge closer to elections?
It becomes a factor. What, in my view, is supposed to be the focus area by all these political parties is to firstly, before they go to this meeting, is to firstly go and have a discussion with their members and their supporters. Because I don't think it should be a foregone conclusion that different political parties, supporters and members would be in agreement that the leadership of their parties should go and enter into this arrangement with the Democratic Alliance. The reason different citizens voted for other parties might be that they did not want the ANC, nor they also did not love or want the Democratic Alliance. So it's important for those that are going to be part of this arrangement to have got a mandate from their members or their supporters, which might be a case with the latter. Another aspect that has to be looked at very seriously, which I think this arrangement has to look at, would be the status of the different political parties in this Moon Pact, whether they're just going to be carried along by the Democratic Alliance or they're actually going to join the Moon Pact as equal partners. At the same time, you also have to look at this matter very cautiously, because some of the parties that, in my view, the DA wants them to join the Moon Pact are parties who appears to be losing influence or support in the body politic of South Africa. So I don't see some of the parties bringing anything onto the table. And of course, political party leaders in their own nature would also want to be seen as having an impact and they must also benefit out of this arrangement. I'm not sure if members of the DA are going to be comfortable that members of parties who don't bring anything onto the table end up being beneficiaries when the government has to be formed.
And then perhaps extended on that is whether they are going to be advancing their own interests or they're actually wanting to bring about social change at this point, which is also a factor that one has to look at, perhaps as an option for the voters who are set to turn out and cast their vote. The maturity of our democracy as well. Can we handle the change that a change in governance structures will look like in South Africa's democracy at this point? How mature is our democracy? We've seen dynamics on a local government level. One is questioning how that's also going to be reflected on a national level.
Well, the unfortunate part is that the challenges that we face with coalitions at local government related to instability and poor service delivery might not be a factor that would influence a voter. Voters will only have to choose for their political parties, and then the results will determine what then is supposed to happen at the end of the day. What I think we need to look at would be in the moonshot or in the moon pact, what then is going to be those who are leading this arrangement? What kind of message are they going to be sending to a voter? And at the same time, what then is going to be the role of the leaders of other political parties? And I know this is these are the factors that this meeting that is coming in has to sit in and agree upon. Another aspect that, in my view, becomes very central would be as to whether leaders of other political parties would be prepared to hand over their identity, their ideologies, and get a brand new ideology and arrangement which might not necessarily be resonating with what has actually been their ideology in the past. And my sense is that I would expect leaders of different political parties to go to this Moonshot Pact conference and be very honest about their own ideologies and be very honest about what they expect, so that at the end of the day, this pact should not collapse before even the 2024 elections.
Dr. Levy Ndou, thank you for your time with us on the SABC and for weighing in on the matter at hand. Political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou weighing in. This, of course, as the opposition will meet this week to craft a pre-election pact. We'll continue to monitor developments as it unfolds.